Hi Aquarius, welcome to your June 2025 monthly forecast. So I am trying to do something a little different this month with the monthly forecast. I'm breaking it down into sections and making them into shorts, like part one, part two, three, whatever. Some people prefer to watch the videos as a short rather than watching it all at one time. But just a heads up, you know, that the monthly forecast video will always be available on my site, always in its entirety. Okay. It's just that some people seem to prefer the shorts, so we'll see what happens. Okay. Anyway, the month starts off with the sun in fellow air sign Gemini. Okay, the sun is in Gemini up until the 20th in your fifth house. That's where you have the sign of Gemini, the fifth house being the house of fun, creativity, romance, gambling, and speculation, any kind of entertainment or sport or games, and anything to do with children. Okay. So Jupiter has been here since last year, and it is leaving on the 9th and moving into Cancer, into your sixth house, okay? But for now, you know, here, this transit should have brought, having Jupiter in your fifth house should have brought like more opportunities to meet people, to form friendships with, or a romance with, or some kind of collaboration that's creative. Whatever, you know, you could have had good fortune in speculation or gambling or children. You know, you may have even either gotten closer with your own child or someone else's, or you adopted or gave birth to a new baby, okay, while Jupiter was here, okay. So it kind of continues. Whatever has happened within the past year, like, it stays with you, okay? It does bring good fortune and good feelings wherever it is transiting. Anyway, okay, so the sun is in Gemini up until the 20th. Mercury is here up until the 8th. And again, like I said, Jupiter moves on the 9th. So, you know, you're still doing a lot of fun things. You know, June is the month, summer month kicks off. And, you know, you could have had plans to do whatever, but it seems like everything is kind of like revolving around maybe other people at this time. The month does start off with Venus in Taurus from the 6th on. It's there like the whole month in your fourth house, where you have the sign of Taurus, along with Uranus. Uranus is still transiting here. It will move in July into Gemini for just like a few months, and then it will fall back into Taurus to finish up its transit there and fully move into Gemini like next year. Okay, so just a few months over the summer. Maybe you'll get a chance to see what it's like to not have this planet here and in your fifth house of fun. Okay. Anyway, so having Venus in your fourth house of your private life, your family, your home, where you physically live. It's also your past and your childhood. People like family matters, relatives could be in contact with you a little bit more this month, possibly planning some kind of reunion or get together. So everything could kind of revolve around that. You could actually end up being the one to host this shindig, you know, even though you didn't plan it and you weren't planning on hosting it either. But you know what? You might end up having to do it just because it's very last minute. Someone is unable to fulfill whatever plans they had for everyone. So you're going to step in, or you're not even going to step in. They're going to drag you in. Okay. So put on your host face, your hostess face, whatever. Okay, so anyway, let's see here. Well, Mercury moves into Cancer on the 8th, and it's moving very fast, okay? It zips right through to Leo on the 26th. It will move into Leo and your seventh house. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. There's a full moon in Sagittarius on the 11th. Mars finally leaves Leo. Okay. It's still in your seventh house up until the 17th. Then it will move into Virgo and your eighth house. Then the sun moves into Cancer on the 20th. There's a new moon in Cancer on the 25th, and Mercury moves into Leo, like I said, on the 26th. Okay. So, I do have to mention, you still have Mars. If you've been listening to my videos, um, Leo is your opposite sign. Mars is in Leo right now in your seventh house. It's directly across from your first house of Aquarius. Seventh house is your close relationships and partnerships, arrangements and agreements, open enemies and competition, and many, many other things. When Mars is in your seventh house, people come at you aggressively. Okay, usually the ones within your close relationships, but the seventh house being the house of open enemies, obviously, what that means though is everyone knows that you two do not get along. Okay, including the open enemy, you and the open enemy, right? So it's not really that big of a deal, but sometimes these people do come out of the woodwork to just push your buttons and try to get you to act up. So that still kind of continues up until the 17th, when it finally leaves and moves into Virgo in your eighth house. Okay. Mercury, though, will also be moving into Leo on the 26th. Okay. So all this does is bring a lot of conversations within your close relationships. If it's business related, you might have, a lot going on there, that changes that you would like to make. Maybe that's what Mars was doing here, was helping you to defend yourself more or less, or speak your mind when it comes to how you would like things done within the close relationship. Again, if it's business, romantic, or friendship. Okay, so with Mercury here, you're going to have an awful lot of conversations. And, you do have Pluto in your sign now. It's in your first house. It's going to be there for about 20 years, right? So these planets are like directly across from Pluto and Aquarius, and they're creating a tug of war, okay, between these two planets. And what usually happens is someone is trying to convince you of something. They want you to think a certain way or accept something that you don't want. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You're a big girl, big boy. You can defend yourself, but it's just that people are like a pain in the ass, right? Anyways, when the sun moves into Cancer and your sixth house, okay, of the workplace, the kind of work that you do, your co-workers, your house of health, your house of service to others, okay, with Jupiter moving here, and let's see, okay, Mercury being here from the 8th through the 26th, and this new moon on the 25th, okay, I believe brings a new beginning in this area, especially like in the workplace. Okay, with Jupiter in the sixth house, sometimes it brings a person into the workforce, okay, or you end up working with someone that that becomes like a good friend, or even if they're like a they call it like my work husband, my work wife. You're that close with this person, or there's like new policies or something going on within the workplace that are better for everyone. All kinds of good things as far as work goes, and good relations with your coworkers and the company itself. If you're self-employed, same thing with clients. Okay, you could have a client that's very beneficial to you. And even if you're retired and you don't work at all, there's still something going on in whatever you used to do as a livelihood. Okay, and it's all good. But anyways, I do have to mention Jupiter here sometimes causes you to gain weight, this being the house of health. You may have already taken up some kind of exercise program. When Mars was in Cancer, it was in Cancer and Leo, back and forth for a while. So it could have energized you physically into getting up and doing stuff, whatever. But with the sun here and Jupiter, usually bringing good health, but it's still a good idea to, keep all your doctor's appointments and checkups and stuff like that. You don't want to just let them slide. But you could feel like renewed in some way or other as far as your physical health goes. Okay. And around this new moon, this could bring a new person into the workplace, or it could give you a new assignment, or a new regimen maybe that you're doing as far as your health goes, or whatever. It just seems like it's things. If there was anything that was a problem in this area, it seems like it's dying down or going away completely. Okay. I do have to mention there's a full moon in Sagittarius on the 11th, in your 11th house of close friends and acquaintances, where you would normally go to hang out. This is socializing in person or online, and any group or organization that you belong to, and also the house of dreams, hopes, and wishes. So I really don't see too many problems with this. It's just that within your group of friends, one of them may have overstepped in some way or other, saying or doing something to you that you didn't like. This person probably pulls stuff like this all the time, but you let them slide. But this time you didn't. You don't want to. You're tired of it. You're going to stop it right now, because that's what a full moon does. Is it brings a problem to the surface so you can deal with it and do away with it and never have to think about it again. So it could be something like that. Okay, but like I said, I don't think it's too big of a deal. Okay, now with Mars moving into Virgo in your 8th house of other people's money and resources. Okay, so this could be thing here. This house is also the house of jointly held property and jointly held debt. It's passive money through means other than earning it, such as receiving a legacy or inheritance, a refund of some kind, an insurance payout, a settlement from a legal matter, anything. It could be all sorts of things, but this house governs many things. Okay, but with Mars here, you may really start looking at your bank statements and credit card statements, things like that, to see where you could save some money. You may actually be going after money. Mars, again, being the energizer, makes you go after things that are yours. So it could even be possessions. Maybe someone has borrowed something of yours, and you want it back, and you keep asking them for it, and you never see it. They just keep blowing you off, right? So you're not going to let that keep happening, obviously. Okay. So I do have to mention very quickly that Saturn and Neptune are now in Aries in your 3rd house. That's where you have the sign of Aries. Your 3rd house being your everyday life, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your siblings, your cousins, short distance travel like an overnight trip or a day trip or a weekender. More than likely it's a road trip. Okay. And all forms of communication, including regular postal mail. Okay, I will eventually do videos on both these planets in Aries, but it's just for the summer. They won't fully be into Aries until next year. So it's just a little brief preview of what you might expect. And it's happening within your neighborhood, more or less. Okay. So the best time to do something each month is when the moon is in your own sign, and the moon is in Aquarius on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. The best time to lay low is when the moon is in your opposite sign, and your opposite sign is Leo, and those dates are the 1st, 2nd, 27th, 28th, excuse me, and 29th, okay? The best time for romance, recreation, creativity, fun, gambling, and speculation, and anything to do with children is the 9th, 10th, 11th, 23rd, and 24th. The best time for money is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 29th, and 30th. The best time for your career is the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And the best time for communication and travel is the 4th, 5th, 6th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. So I hope you enjoyed your forecast for June. Happy summer. See ya.